chauffeur froze when she saw her childhood photo in the Millionaire'S living room. Lauren Pierce's hands trembled slightly as she adjusted the rearview mirror of the sleek black Mercedes. The gravel driveway of Whitmore Mansion stretched ahead like a pale ribbon through immaculate gardens for a woman who had spent her life driving the wealthy around Charleston. This job should have felt routine, yet something about this place sent an odd chill down her spine. "First day jitters," she muttered, tucking a strand of chestnut hair behind her ear. At 32, Lauren had the composed demeanor of someone accustomed to being invisible. Her eyes, a striking hazel that seemed too expressive for her otherwise unremarkable face, scanned the imposing 3-story mansion with its white columns and wraparound veranda. Something about it felt strangely familiar, though she was certain she'd never been here before. The front door opened and a tall woman in her 60s emerged. Her silver hair was pulled into an immaculate bun, her posture ramrod straight. This had to be Mrs. Beatrice Whitmore, the family matriarch and her new employer. Lauren stepped out of the car, smoothing her black uniform pants. "Mrs. Whitmore, I'm Lauren Pierce, your new driver." Beatrice's eyes, cold and calculating, assessed Lauren from head to toe. "You're late." "My apologies, ma'am. There was an accident on Highway 17. Beatrice's thin lips barely moved. "The Whitmores value punctuality, Miss Pierce. Consider this your only warning." "Yes, ma'am. Follow me. I'll show you the house rules and your quarters." Lauren followed Beatrice through the imposing oak doors into a foyer with marble floors that echoed their footsteps. A crystal chandelier hung from a ceiling adorned with intricate moldings. Wealth dripped from every surface. "The staff entrance is around the back," Beatrice said, her voice sharp as cut glass. "You'll use that door from now on. Your room is above the garage. You'll be on call from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., with Sundays off unless otherwise requested." Lauren nodded, her eyes drawn to a portrait of a distinguished older gentleman above the fireplace. His eyes seemed to follow her. "That's Ernest Whitmore," Beatrice said, noticing Lauren's gaze. "My late husband. This house and everything in it belonged to his family for generations. He has kind eyes," Lauren said without thinking. Beatrice's face tightened. "You weren't hired for your observations, Miss Pierce. You were hired to drive." They continued down a long hallway lined with photographs. Lauren tried to keep her eyes forward, but something made her glance at the frames. Family vacations, holiday gatherings, sailing trips, snippets of a life she never had. Then she saw it, a photograph that made her blood freeze. A little girl, maybe 8 years old, stood beside an older version of the man from the portrait. They were in front of a stone fountain, the girl clutching a bright red balloon. She had a tiny scar above her right eyebrow, and a beauty mark under her left eye. Lauren stopped breathing. The face was her own. Ms. Pierce. Lauren couldn't move, her eyes fixed on the photograph. The same scar she touched each morning while applying concealer. The same beauty mark that beauty consultants always tried to cover. "Is something wrong?" Beatrice's voice had dropped to a dangerous whisper. "This little girl," Lauren managed, her throat dry. "Who is she?" Beatrice's eyes narrowed. "Alexandra Whitmore, Ernest's daughter from his first marriage." Her voice turned razor sharp. "She disappeared 24 years ago. We don't discuss her." Lauren felt the room spin. 24 years ago, she would have been 8. How did she disappear? The question escaped before she could stop it. Beatrice's face hardened to granite. "That's none of your concern. Let's continue the tour." But Lauren couldn't move, staring at the girl with her face. Her scar, her beauty mark, the red balloon seemed to glow like a warning. "Mrs. Pierce." Beatrice's voice cut through her trance. "The tour." Lauren forced herself to move, following Beatrice through the mansion's winding corridors, only half listening to instructions about which rooms were off limits and which family members preferred which routes into town. Her mind raced with impossible thoughts. The orphanage records stated she had been found wandering in a hospital parking lot in Savannah, with no memory and no identification. They estimated her age at 8. The date was October 15th, 1999. "Through these French doors is the back garden," Beatrice was saying, pushing open glass panes that led to a stone terrace. Lauren stepped outside, and her knees nearly buckled. There, centerpiece of an elegant garden, stood the fountain from the photograph, gray stone, cherubs pouring water from vases, surrounded by roses. A flash hit her. Water splashing. Laughter. A man's voice saying, "Hold still, Alex. The balloon is blocking your face." "Miss Pierce, are you unwell?" Beatrice's voice sounded distant. Lauren gripped the terrace railing. "I'm fine. Just the heat." Beatrice studied her with suspicious eyes. "Perhaps you need water." Before Lauren could respond, the crunch of tires on gravel announced another arrival. A sleek Jaguar pulled up, and a man in his early 30s stepped out. Tall, with dark hair and Ernest Whitmore's jawline, he bounded up the steps 2 at a time. "Beatrice. Sorry I'm late. The board meeting ran over." He stopped short at the sight of Lauren. "Oh, hello. Richard? This is Miss Pierce, our new driver," Beatrice said. "Ms. Pierce, this is Richard Whitmore, my stepson." Richard extended his hand. His eyes, warm like his father's in the portrait, studying her face with undisguised curiosity. "Welcome to Whitmore House, Ms. Pierce." Lauren shook his hand, noticing how his gaze lingered on her face. "Thank you, Mr. Whitmore. Something wrong?" "Richard?" Beatrice asked, her tone suddenly alert. Richard shook his head, but his eyes remained on Lauren. "No, just, you look familiar somehow." Lauren's heart hammered against her ribs. "I have one of those faces, I guess." "I suppose," he said, not sounding convinced. "Anyway, Beatrice, we need to discuss the estate planning meeting tomorrow," Julian called, "and he's bringing the final paperwork." Beatrice nodded curtly. "Miss Pierce, you're dismissed for now. Familiarize yourself with the property. Dinner for the help is at 6 in the kitchen." Lauren nodded, walking away on unsteady legs. As she rounded the corner, she heard Richard's voice, low and confused. "She looks just like—" "Don't be ridiculous," Beatrice snapped. "Alexandra is gone, and she's not coming back." Lauren leaned against the wall, her heart pounding. The photograph, the fountain, the flash of memory that couldn't possibly be hers. It was all impossible. Yet as she made her way to her quarters above the garage, Lauren couldn't shake the feeling that she hadn't found a new job. She'd found her way home, and someone had recognized her. Lauren jolted awake, her nightgown damp with sweat. The digital clock read 3:17 a.m., its red numbers glowing in the darkness of her quarters above the garage. This was the 3rd night in a row she'd had the same dream. A red balloon floating away, a child's desperate cry, and a voice calling a name that wasn't hers. "Alexandra!" She pushed herself up and walked to the small bathroom, splashing cold water on her face. The mirror reflected her hazel eyes, wide and haunted. The tiny scar above her right eyebrow seemed more pronounced in the harsh bathroom light, like the girl in the photograph. Lauren had spent 2 days driving the Whitmores around Charleston, learning their routines, their preferences. Richard wanted classical music during morning drives and preferred back roads to avoid traffic. Beatrice demanded absolute silence and the most direct routes. 2 people living in the same massive house, yet worlds apart, and both watched her when they thought she wasn't looking. "Get it together," she whispered to her reflection. "It's just a weird coincidence." But coincidences didn't explain the fountain that felt so familiar, or how she'd known exactly which hallway led to the library without being told, or why Mrs. Whitmore studied her with such calculating eyes. Lauren returned to bed, but knew sleep wouldn't come. At 5 a.m., she gave up and dressed in her uniform, slipping out to explore the grounds before anyone else woke up. The morning mist shrouded the gardens in gray. Lauren found herself drawn to the fountain, its cherubs frozen mid-pour. She reached out, touching the cold stone. "Higher, Daddy. I want to touch the water." Warm hands lifting her up, the spray cool against her fingertips. "Be careful, Alexandra. Don't lean too far." Lauren yanked her hand back as if burned. These weren't her memories. Couldn't be. "You're up early." She spun around to find Richard Whitmore watching her, dressed in running clothes. "Mr. Whitmore, I'm sorry. I was just—" "No need to apologize." He approached, his eyes on the fountain. "I come here too sometimes." It was her favorite spot. Lauren's mouth went dry. "Her. Alexandra, my half-sister." His voice softened. "You've seen her picture in the hall?" Lauren nodded, afraid to say more. "You remind me of her," Richard said simply. "It's uncanny, actually. I've been told I have a common face." Richard shook his head. "No, there's nothing common about your face." He seemed about to say more, then checked his watch. "I have an early meeting in town. Can you have the car ready in 20 minutes? "Of course, sir." As she prepared the Mercedes, Lauren's mind raced. Something wasn't right. The way Richard looked at her, not with suspicion like Beatrice, but with wonder. As if seeing a ghost during the drive into Charleston, Richard broke the usual silence. "How long have you been in South Carolina, Miss Pierce?" Lauren kept her eyes on the road. "All my life, as far as I know." "As far as you know," she hesitated. "I grew up in the state system, foster homes, then Catherine's orphanage in Savannah." Richard shifted in his seat. "I'm sorry to hear that. No memories of your parents. None before age 8. The words slipped out before she could stop them. In the rearview mirror, she saw Richard stiffen. "What happened when you were 8? Lauren's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. "They found me in a hospital parking lot. No ed, no memory. They guessed my age based on development." The silence that followed was deafening. "When was this?" Richard finally asked, his voice carefully neutral. "October 1999. She heard his sharp intake of breath. In the mirror, his face had gone pale. "Mr. Whitmore, are you all right?" "Fine," he said too quickly. "Just tired. Let's continue in silence. Please." That night, after everyone had retired, Lauren couldn't sleep. The conversation with Richard replayed in her mind. His reaction when she mentioned her age and the date. The way he'd stared at her, as if trying to solve a puzzle, making a decision. Lauren slipped out of her room. The main house would be dark now. Beatrice took sleeping pills, according to the housekeeper's gossip, and Richard had gone out after dinner. The back entrance key was where the cook kept it, under a potted plant. Lauren let herself in, moving silently through the darkened kitchen and down the hall. She needed to see that photograph again, needed to understand why it haunted her. The hallway was shadowy, moonlight filtering through tall windows. Lauren found the photograph easily, drawn to it like a magnet. The girl's smile, innocent and bright. The man, Ernest Whitmore, looking at his daughter with undisguised adoration. Lauren pulled out her phone and turned on the flashlight for a better look. There, on the little girl's wrist, was a silver bracelet with a charm. Her hand went instinctively to her neck, where a small silver charm hung on a chain. Her only possession when they found her, a tiny star, just like the one on Alexandra's bracelet. "It can't be," she whispered. "Can't be what?" a voice asked from the darkness. Lauren whirled around, heart pounding. An elderly woman stood at the end of the hall, her white hair in a long braid over her nightgown. "I'm sorry," Lauren stammered. "I was just looking at Alexandra," the woman finished. Approaching slowly, her face was lined with age, but her dark eyes were sharp. "I don't blame you. The resemblance is remarkable. Who are you?" "Maria Dolores. I was the children's nanny years ago." She studied Lauren's face. "I came back to work in the kitchen last year. After my Fernando died, I needed somewhere to go." Lauren backed away. "I should return to my quarters." Maria's hand shot out, surprisingly strong, gripping Lauren's wrist. "Your eyes," she whispered. "They haven't changed at all, Nina." Lauren pulled free, panic rising. "You're mistaken. I've never been here before. Haven't you?" Maria's gaze was knowing. "Then why do you stare at that fountain as if it holds all your secrets?" Before Lauren could respond, the front door opened. Richard's voice carried from the foyer, saying goodnight to someone. Maria put a finger to her lips. "Tomorrow," she whispered. "The rose garden during lunch. I have things to tell you." She slipped away, leaving Lauren frozen before Alexandra's smiling face. The red balloon in the photograph seemed to glow in the darkness. A spot of blood against the past. Lauren made it back to her room unseen, her mind reeling. Maria's words, Richard's reaction to her story, the charm around her neck that matched Alexandra's bracelet. It was too much to be coincidence. That night, her dreams were clearer than ever. A park in Savannah, cotton candy sticking to her fingers, a red balloon tied to her wrist, a woman in sunglasses approaching. "Alexandra Whitmore, your father's been in an accident. I've come to take you to him." Lauren woke up screaming a name that wasn't hers, yet felt more real than the identity she'd carried for 24 years. The rose garden bloomed in vibrant reds and pinks, the flowers nodding in the gentle breeze. Lauren checked her watch again. She'd managed to slip away during her lunch break. Claiming she needed to check something on the car, Maria Dolores was already 15 minutes late. Maybe she won't come, Lauren muttered, half relieved, half disappointed. Talking to yourself is the first sign of madness, they say. Lauren turned to find Maria approaching with a wicker basket. The older woman wore a simple cotton dress, her silver hair braided and wrapped around her head like a crown. "I thought you weren't coming," Lauren said. Maria set the basket down on a stone bench. The kitchen was busy. Beatrice has guests for lunch. She opened the basket and pulled out 2 sandwiches wrapped in wax paper. "And you haven't eaten." It wasn't a question. Lauren accepted the sandwich wordlessly, her stomach growling. She hadn't realized how hungry she was. "Now," Maria said, sitting beside her. "Tell me about the dreams." Lauren nearly choked. "How did you—" "The circles under your eyes. The way you look at that fountain. The fact that you were staring at Alexandra's picture in the middle of the night." Maria's dark eyes were gentle, but unyielding. "Tell me." Something about Maria's quiet authority loosened the knot in Lauren's chest. She found herself describing the recurring nightmares. The red balloon, the woman in sunglasses, the park in Savannah. Maria listened without interrupting, her weathered face impossible to read. When Lauren finished, she reached out and touched the charm hanging around Lauren's neck. "This was Alexandra's," she said softly. "A gift from her father on her 7th birthday. A star to remind her she could be anything." Lauren's throat tightened. "That's impossible. I've had this since they found me." "And when was that?" "Exactly. October 15th, 1999. Maria's eyes closed briefly, as if in pain. Alexandra disappeared on October 12th, 1999. From a park in Savannah, a school holiday. Ernest had a business meeting, and Beatrice volunteered to take her for the day. Her voice hardened. 3 days later, the police called. They'd found her backpack near the river. Never found a body. Lauren felt dizzy, the sandwich forgotten in her hands. "It's a coincidence. It has to be. Do you believe that?" Maria asked. "In your heart, do you truly believe that?" Before Lauren could answer, her phone buzzed, a text from the head housekeeper. "Beatrice asking for you, come now." "I have to go," Lauren said, standing abruptly. "Thank you for the sandwich." Maria caught her hand. "Be careful, Nina. Beatrice has eyes everywhere." Lauren hurried across the lawn toward the house, her mind spinning. The timing of her appearance at the orphanage, the charm, the dreams. It was too much to dismiss, but the alternative was unthinkable. If she was Alexandra Whitmore, then what happened during those 3 missing days? And who had taken her? Beatrice was waiting in the front hall, elegant in a beige suit, her silver hair immaculate. "There you are. I need you to drive me to the Charleston Historical Society. I have a luncheon." "Yes, ma'am. Right away." Beatrice's eyes narrowed. "You were in the rose garden." "With Maria." It wasn't a question. Lauren kept her face neutral. "She offered me a sandwich. I didn't want to eat in the staff kitchen and disturb the preparations for your guests." "Maria Dolores has been with this family for 40 years, Beatrice said, her voice cold. "She was here when Alexandra was born, when my Ernest lost his first wife, when he made the mistake of marrying me." Lauren blinked at the unexpected admission. "Oh, don't look so surprised," Beatrice snapped. "I know what the staff says about me. The gold-digging second wife, the wicked stepmother." She stepped closer, her perfume sharp in Lauren's nostrils. "Let me be clear, Miss Pierce. Your job is to drive, not to listen to old women's tales. Understood?" "Perfectly, ma'am." "Good. Now get the car." The drive to Charleston was silent, Beatrice working on her tablet in the back seat. Lauren's mind, however, was far from quiet. If she was Alexandra Whitmore, why hadn't her fingerprints matched any missing persons report? Why hadn't DNA identified her? Surely a wealthy family like the Whitmores would have used every resource to find a missing child. Unless someone didn't want her found? Lauren glanced in the rearview mirror at Beatrice. Cool and composed. The wicked stepmother, she'd said mockingly. But what if it wasn't a joke? After dropping Beatrice off, Lauren had 2 hours to kill before pickup. On impulse, she drove to the Charleston Public Library. The newspaper archives might have something on Alexandra's disappearance. The librarian was helpful, showing her to the microfiche section. Looking for anything in particular, honey? Articles about missing children. Around 1999, the woman's smile faded. Research project. Something like that. Left alone. Lauren scrolled through months of archived newspapers. Finally, on October 13th, 1999, she found it. Whitmore heiress missing from Savannah Park, Alexandra Whitmore. 8. Disappeared yesterday from Forsyth Park in Savannah, Georgia, while on an outing with her stepmother, Beatrice Whitmore. The child was last seen near the central fountain at approximately 2:30 p.m. Police are treating the case as a possible abduction. The article included a photograph of Alexandra, the same one from the Whitmore hallway. Lauren's hands shook as she read the details. Red balloon, blue dress, silver bracelet with a star charm. She printed the article and continued searching over the next few weeks. The story faded from the front pages. By November, it had disappeared entirely, replaced by holiday stories and Y2K concerns. Then, in a small article dated December 4th, 1999, Whitmore's search scaled back the search for missing heiress Alexandra. Whitmore has been officially scaled back. Police announced yesterday, despite extensive efforts, no further evidence has been found since the discovery of the child's backpack near the Savannah River on October 14th. Ernest Whitmore has offered a $500,000 reward for information. Lauren printed this too. Folding both clippings carefully into her wallet, she checked the time. Still an hour before she needed to pick up Beatrice. Back in the car, she pulled out her phone and searched for St. Catherine's Orphanage admission records October 1999. Nothing useful came up. Those records would be sealed, accessible only to officials or the children themselves. Lauren had obtained her own records when she turned 18. The sparse file noted only, subject found disoriented in Memorial Hospital parking lot, Savannah. No identification. Approximate age, 8 years. Medical examination shows no signs of abuse. Possible amnesia from psychological trauma. She'd accepted the story, built her life around it. Now everything was shifting beneath her feet when she picked up Beatrice. The older woman was in high spirits, chatting with another elegantly dressed matron outside the Historical Society. And of course, once Alexandra is declared legally dead, the estate can finally be settled, the other woman was saying. Ernest's will was quite specific. Julian is bringing the final paperwork tomorrow, Beatrice replied. 24 years is long enough to wait, don't you think? Lauren froze. Key in the ignition. Legally dead. Tomorrow. Beatrice noticed her then, her smile cooling several degrees. Ah, Miss Pierce, right on time. How efficient. On the drive home, Beatrice worked silently in the back seat, but Lauren could feel her gaze occasionally lifting, studying her in the rearview mirror. For the first time since arriving at Whitmore Mansion, Lauren felt afraid. Not confused, not curious. Afraid, because if she was Alexandra Whitmore, and if Beatrice had something to do with her disappearance, then Lauren had just walked straight into the lair of the person who had stolen her life. And tomorrow, that person planned to have her declared dead. Lauren sat in the mansion's kitchen at midnight. Nursing a cup of tea, the newspaper clippings lay on the table before her, damning in their implications. The staff had long since gone to bed, leaving her alone with her thoughts and the gentle ticking of the antique wall clock. Tomorrow, Alexandra Whitmore would be declared legally dead, and Lauren was increasingly convinced that she was Alexandra. The back door creaked open, and Lauren hastily gathered the clippings. But it was only Maria, wrapped in a faded robe. "Can't sleep?" the old woman asked, moving to the stove to heat water for her own tea. "Would you if you suspected your entire life was a lie?" Maria sat across from her, eyeing the papers Lauren had half hidden under her palm. "What did you find?" Wordlessly, Lauren slid the clippings across the table. Maria read them slowly, lips moving slightly. When she finished, she crossed herself. "I knew it," she whispered. "I knew you'd come back." "I'm not back," Lauren protested. "I don't remember being Alexandra. I don't remember anything before the hospital parking lot. Memory isn't just in the mind. Nina, it's in the body, in the soul." Maria tapped Lauren's chest. "Why do you think you were drawn to that fountain? Why do you have dreams of a red balloon?" Lauren shook her head. "Even if I am Alexandra, and that's a massive if, what happened to me? Who took me? And why didn't anyone recognize me at the hospital?" Someone who wanted you gone, Maria said grimly. Someone who stood to gain from your disappearance. The implication hung in the air between them. Lauren voiced it reluctantly. Beatrice, after your mother died, your father changed. He was lost in grief for years. Maria's eyes grew distant. Then Beatrice came along. Beautiful, charming Beatrice. She made him laugh again. Everyone thought she was a miracle, but not you. I saw how she looked at you when Ernest wasn't watching. Like you were. An obstacle. Maria sipped her tea. A month before you disappeared, I overheard them arguing. Ernest wanted to change his will. Set up a trust that would give you majority control of everything when you turned 25. Beatrice was furious. Lauren felt cold despite the warm kitchen. And tomorrow she's having Alexandra declared legally dead. After which everything goes to Richard. And to her, Ernest's will was very specific. The estate couldn't be fully settled until Alexandra was found or legally declared dead. A floorboard creaked in the hallway. Both women froze. Who's there? Maria called. Richard Whitmore stepped into the kitchen, his expression unreadable. I think the better question is, what are you two discussing at midnight? Lauren stood, heart racing. Mr. Whitmore, I can explain. Can you? He approached the table, eyeing the newspaper clippings. Because I'd really like to hear why my driver and our cook are huddled over articles about my missing sister. Maria rose to her full height, barely reaching Richard's shoulder. This isn't what you think, Richard. No, because it looks like you're filling Ms. Pierce's head with ghost stories. He picked up one of the clippings, skimming it with a frown. Alexandra has been gone for 24 years. The police searched for months. My father hired private investigators for years. And yet, Lauren said quietly, here I stand. Richard's head snapped up. What did you say? Lauren touched the scar above her eyebrow, then the charm around her neck. The same scar, the same birthmark, the same charm bracelet. I showed up at an orphanage 3 days after Alexandra disappeared, with no memory, no identity. Richard shook his head. That's insane. Is it? Maria challenged. Look at her, Richard. Really look at her. Richard stared at Lauren, eyes traveling from her face to the charm necklace and back. This is crazy. You can't possibly think. I don't know what to think, Lauren admitted. But I know I was found in Savannah 3 days after Alexandra vanished. I know I have the same physical marks. I know I've been having dreams about a red balloon and a fountain since I arrived here. Coincidence, Richard insisted, but his voice lacked conviction. And I know, Lauren continued, that tomorrow Beatrice intends to have Alexandra declared legally dead so that the estate can be settled. Richard ran a hand through his hair. The timing is a legal requirement. It's been 24 years, the standard period for presumption of death. Convenient timing, Maria muttered. Richard shot her a sharp look. What are you implying? Maria didn't flinch. Your stepmother never wanted Alexandra around. The child reminded Ernest too much of his first wife. She was a living obstacle to Beatrice controlling the Whitmore fortune. You're suggesting Beatrice had something to do with Alexandra's disappearance? Richard looked incredulous. That's a serious accusation, Maria. Is it so hard to believe? Lauren asked softly. Richard's expression darkened. You've been here, 3 days and you're ready to accuse my stepmother of kidnapping? I'm not accusing anyone, Lauren said. I'm trying to understand who I am. The three fell silent, the clocks ticking suddenly loud in the quiet kitchen. Did my father ever do a DNA search? Richard finally asked Maria. Of course, they took samples from all the children matching Alexandra's general description found within a 500-mile radius. But, Maria hesitated. But what? Richard pressed. The detective told me they never got results from a girl found in Savannah. The sample was contaminated somehow. Richard paced the kitchen. This is insane. You're talking about a massive conspiracy, police corruption, medical fraud, or one determined woman with a lot to gain, Maria said quietly. Richard stopped pacing. Even if, and this is a massive if, what you're suggesting is true, how would we prove it now? After 24 years. Lauren took a deep breath. DNA. I'd need to compare my DNA with a family member. And if it matches, Richard challenged, then I'm Alexandra Whitmore. Richard stared at her for a long moment. My father kept a lock of Alexandra's hair in a locket, And there's a hairbrush of his in his study that Beatrice keeps as a memento. We could test both." Maria looked shocked. "You believe us?" "I don't know what I believe," Richard said wearily. "But I know my father spent the last 7 years of his life searching for Alexandra. If there's even a chance." He shook his head. "I'll need time to think, and to research how to do this discreetly." "We don't have time," Lauren reminded him. "Tomorrow, Alexandra is being declared legally dead." "I can delay it," Richard said. "Tell Beatrice and Julian that I need more time to review the documents." Maria touched his arm. "Be careful what you say to Beatrice, if Lauren is right." "I know," Richard said grimly. "My stepmother could be a kidnapper." The door to the kitchen swung open again, making them all jump. But it was only the night wind, pushing against the unlatched door. Still, Lauren felt a chill. "We should separate, if Beatrice suspects anything." Richard nodded. "I'll find a way to get DNA samples tomorrow. Don't act any differently around Beatrice. Don't give her any reason to suspect." As they parted ways, Richard caught Lauren's arm. "I still don't fully believe this, but..." He studied her face in the moonlight streaming through the window. "You do look just like her, the eyes especially." "Ernest's eyes," Maria said softly. Richard released Lauren's arm. "Just so we're clear, if this is some kind of con, if you're playing on an old woman's grief and my family's tragedy for money..." "It's not about money," Lauren said firmly. "It's about finding out who took my life away from me." After they'd gone, Lauren remained in the kitchen, staring at the newspaper clippings. The photo of Alexandra with her red balloon seemed to watch her accusingly. "I'll find out what happened to us," she whispered to the smiling child. "I promise." The attic air was thick with dust and memories. Lauren followed Richard up the narrow stairs, the wooden steps creaking beneath their weight. It was mid-afternoon, and Beatrice had left for her weekly bridge game, giving them a rare window of opportunity. "My father kept everything of Alexandra's," Richard explained, pulling a chain to turn on a single bulb. "Beatrice wanted to donate it all after he died, but I couldn't bring myself to let it go." The attic stretched the length of the mansion, filled with trunks, furniture draped in sheets and boxes labeled in faded handwriting. Richard moved unerringly toward the far corner, where a child's white dresser stood like a ghost in the dim light. "Here," he said, pulling open the top drawer. "These are Alexandra's things." Lauren approached slowly, heart pounding. Inside the drawer lay neatly folded children's clothes, dresses, sweaters, tiny jeans. "We need to find something with DNA," Richard said. "A hairbrush, maybe." Lauren nodded, but her attention was drawn to a blue dress at the top of the pile. Without thinking, she reached out and touched it, the fabric scratchy against her skin, complaining to Daddy that she wanted to wear jeans instead. "But you look so pretty in blue, Alex. It matches your eyes," she gasped, pulling her hand back as if burned. "What is it?" Richard asked sharply. I remembered something. Your father saying blue matched Alexandra's eyes." Richard's expression tightened. "Lucky guess? My father said that to Alexandra all the time." "I didn't guess," Lauren insisted. "I remembered." Richard looked away. Continuing to search through the drawer, he pulled out a small wooden box and opened it. Inside lay a silver hairbrush, its handle engraved with the initials A.W. "This might work," he said, carefully placing the brush in a plastic bag he'd brought. "I also found a lab that can do the test discreetly. A college friend runs it." Lauren barely heard him, still transfixed by the blue dress. Under it was something red. She moved the dress aside to reveal a child's backpack, bright crimson with silver stars. "That's not possible," Richard whispered, staring at the backpack. "They found Alexandra's backpack by the river. It was in police evidence for years." Lauren unzipped it with trembling hands. Inside was a small notebook, a pencil case, and a stuffed rabbit. "Worn with love. Mr. Carrots," she said without thinking. Richard paled. "How did you know that?" "I don't know." Lauren lifted the rabbit. Its once white fur now yellowed with age. One ear was slightly shorter than the other, the stitching visible. "He had surgery," she murmured, "because Sadie ripped his ear." "Who was Sadie?" Richard asked, his voice barely audible. Lauren frowned, concentrating. "The neighbor's dog, a golden retriever." Richard sat heavily on an old trunk. "We had neighbors named Prescott. Their golden retriever was named Sadie. She got into the house once and tore Alexandra's rabbit. My father sewed it himself because Alexandra wouldn't let anyone else touch Mr. Carrots. They stared at each other, the implications hanging heavy in the dusty air. If Alexandra's backpack was found by the river, Lauren said slowly, then what is this? A duplicate, Richard realized. Alexandra had 2 identical backpacks. My father bought the second one after she left the first at school overnight and had a meltdown. He kept the spare here, always packed and ready. The backpack by the river was planted, Lauren said, to make everyone think Alexandra had drowned. Richard ran a hand through his hair. We need that DNA test, and we need to find out how you ended up at that hospital. And who... He broke off, looking away. And who took me? Lauren finished. Richard nodded grimly. Let's take these things and go. Beatrice could return early. They carefully repacked the dresser, but Lauren kept Mr. Carrots in her hand, unable to part with him. As they turned to leave, a large trunk against the wall caught her eye. What's in there? She asked. Richard hesitated. More of Alexandra's things and mementos of my mother. Lauren moved toward it as if pulled by an invisible thread. Can we open it? After a moment's hesitation, Richard nodded and knelt to unlock it. Inside were photo albums, a wedding dress carefully preserved in tissue paper, and a child's ballet costume. I took ballet, Lauren said softly, touching the pink tutu. Alexandra did too, Richard replied. She was awful at it, but she loved the costumes. Lauren smiled, a memory surfacing. The recital. I kept turning the wrong way and bumped into Jessica Miller. She fell and started crying. Richard stared at her, then flipped open one of the photo albums. He turned several pages before stopping at a photograph of a children's ballet recital. A line of little girls in tutus stood on stage, one of them clearly out of position. That's Alexandra, he said, pointing to the misaligned child. And that's Jessica Miller next to her. This was a month before Alexandra disappeared. Lauren stared at the photo, her head suddenly pounding. I need to sit down. Richard helped her to an old armchair, dust billowing as she sank into it. Are you all right? It's too much, she whispered. These memories that can't be mine but are. I grew up in foster homes and orphanages. I worked 3 jobs to put myself through community college. My life is real. So how can Alexandra's life be real too? I don't know, Richard admitted. But these aren't things you could have researched or guessed. Mr. Carrots, Sadie the dog, the ballet recital. These are intimate family details. Lauren clutched the stuffed rabbit to her chest, fighting tears. If I am Alexandra, then someone stole 24 years of my life, my identity, my family, my inheritance, everything. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, Richard cautioned. We still need proof. Hard, scientific proof. A noise from downstairs made them both freeze. The front door, Richard whispered. Beatrice is back early. They quickly closed the trunk and turned off the light, then crept down the attic stairs with their treasures. Richard carefully locked the attic door behind them. Mrs. Pierce, Beatrice's voice called from below. Is that you? Lauren tucked Mr. Carrots and the hairbrush into her jacket. Coming, Mrs. Whitmore. She found Beatrice in the foyer, removing her gloves. There you are. Where's Richard? I believe he's in his study, ma'am. Beatrice's eyes narrowed. And what were you doing upstairs? Your quarters are above the garage. Richard asked me to bring some files from the attic, Lauren improvised. For the meeting tomorrow. Did he? Beatrice's tone was skeptical. How industrious of him. And where are these files? He has them now, ma'am. Beatrice studied her for a long moment. You know, Mrs. Pierce, you've made quite an impression since arriving here. Richard speaks of little else. Lauren kept her expression neutral. I'm just doing my job, ma'am. Are you? Beatrice stepped closer, her perfume cloying in the enclosed space. Because it seems to me you're doing considerably more than driving. I don't understand. Don't you? Beatrice smiled, cold and calculating. Richard called Julian this morning. He wants to delay the declaration after 24 years of waiting. Suddenly he needs more time. And here you are, rummaging in the attic with him. Quite a coincidence. Lauren's mouth went dry. Mrs. Whitmore, let me be absolutely clear. Beatrice cut in, her voice silk over steel. The Whitmore fortune is substantial. People have tried to claim a piece of it before. People with far more convincing stories than yours. I haven't claimed anything, Lauren protested. Not yet. Beatrice's eyes flicked to Lauren's jacket, where Mr. Carrots made a small bulge. But I see the wheels turning. A pretty young woman with a passing resemblance to a long-dead child. It's been done before. She turned to go, then paused. Oh, and Ms. Pierce, I've hired a private investigator to look into your background, thoroughly. I'm quite curious to see what he finds. After Beatrice glided away, Lauren leaned against the wall, her legs weak. The stuffed rabbit in her jacket suddenly felt like damning evidence. Beatrice knew, or at least suspected, what they were doing, and she was already moving to stop them. Rain pattered against the windows of Richard's BMW as they drove through Charleston's historic district. They'd chosen this meeting place carefully, a small coffee shop far from Whitmore Mansion and Beatrice's watchful eyes. Lauren stared at the passing storefronts, clutching her purse where Alexandra's hairbrush and a swab of her own DNA were carefully sealed in separate bags. You're quiet, Richard observed. Beatrice knows something's up, Lauren said. She confronted me yesterday after we came down from the attic. What did she say? That she's having me investigated. That people have tried to claim the Whitmore fortune before. Lauren turned to him. She saw the bulge in my jacket where I'd hidden Mr. Carrots. Richard's hands tightened on the steering wheel. She's always been paranoid about fortune hunters. After my father died, a woman showed up claiming to be his mistress, pregnant with his child. Was she? No. DNA proved the child wasn't his, but it made Beatrice even more suspicious of everyone. He sighed. The irony is, I've never cared about the money. I just wanted closure about Alexandra. They pulled into a small parking lot behind an unassuming brick building. A discreet sign read, Charleston Diagnostic Laboratory. My friend David runs this place, Richard explained as they hurried through the rain. He's expecting us. Inside, a receptionist led them directly to a back office where a man in his early 30s greeted them. David Chen had an open face and intelligent eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Richard, good to see you. He shook hands, then turned to Lauren. And this must be Mrs. Pierce. Lauren, please, she replied, trying to hide her nervousness. David gestured to chairs across from his desk. Richard explained the situation. Unusual, but not unheard of. Long-lost relatives turn up more often than you'd think in my line of work. Can you do what we need? Richard asked. Discreetly. A comparison between Ms. Pierce's DNA and both your sister's hair sample and your father's. David nodded. Yes, though I should warn you that DNA degrades over time. The samples from the hairbrush are decades old. But it can be done, Lauren pressed. If we get viable DNA, yes. And if you are related, we'll be able to tell you how closely. David opened a drawer and removed a testing kit. I'll need a cheek swab from you, Miss Pierce, and the samples you brought. Lauren handed over her purse. Watching anxiously as David extracted the sealed bags, he worked methodically, labeling each sample before taking a swab from Lauren's cheek. How long will it take? She asked as he finished. Typically a week, but I'll put a rush on it. 3 days. Maybe 4. Richard looked alarmed. The declaration of death is scheduled for tomorrow. I've bought us a little time, David assured him. I told Julian Cortez I needed to review some estate tax implications. He agreed to postpone for 1 week. Lauren breathed a sigh of relief, but her respite was short-lived. Her phone buzzed with a text from Maria. B hired Pi. He was asking questions about you at the staff house. Be careful. She showed the message to Richard, whose expression darkened. She's moving fast, he murmured. David looked between them, confused. Is there a problem? My stepmother is suspicious, Richard explained. She's hired someone to investigate Lauren. David frowned. That could complicate things if she discovers you're doing a DNA test. She won't, Richard said firmly. Not through your lab, anyway. They thanked David and hurried back to the car. The rain had intensified, drumming on the roof as Richard pulled out of the parking lot. I should resign, Lauren said suddenly. Leave Whitmore Mansion before Beatrice finds a reason to fire me. No, Richard said sharply. Richard, if you leave now, it'll only confirm her suspicions. Besides, we need you close until we get the results. And if they're positive, if I am Alexandra. Richard was silent for a long moment, wipers slashing rhythmically across the windshield. Then everything changes. The estate, the legal proceedings, everything. I don't care about the money, Lauren said quietly. I just want to know who I am. Richard gave her a sidelong glance. Even if it means discovering your stepmother tried to erase your existence. Lauren stared out at the rain-slicked streets. Especially then, back at the mansion, Lauren found Maria waiting in her quarters, face drawn with worry. Beatrice's investigator was asking about your orphanage records, the older woman said without preamble. How long you were there, if anyone ever came looking for you. Did they tell him anything? Mrs. Collins in housekeeping used to work at St. Catherine's. She said the records were sealed, but Maria hesitated. She mentioned the date you arrived, October 15th, 1999. Lauren sank onto her bed. 3 days after Alexandra disappeared. Exactly. Maria sat beside her. The investigator seemed very interested in that. Beatrice is trying to get ahead of us, Lauren realized. If she can prove I'm not Alexandra before we can prove I am, she would discredit you completely, Maria finished. Make you look like a con artist. Lauren's phone buzzed again. A text from Richard. Julian just called. B wants to move the declaration back to original date. Claims tax reasons. Need to stall. It's getting worse, Lauren murmured, showing Maria the message. Beatrice is accelerating everything. Maria's weathered face hardened with determination. Then we need to find more proof. Something Beatrice can't dismiss or explain away. Like what? All we have are fragments of memory and a DNA test that won't be ready in time. Maria thought for a moment. The doctor who examined you when you were found. Hospital records. Those would be sealed too. Not to you. Maria squeezed her hand. You're the patient. You have a right to your own medical records. Lauren straightened. You're right, and the hospital was Memorial in Savannah. I could drive there tomorrow. Not alone, Maria warned. Beatrice might be watching you. As if summoned by her name, a knock came at the door. Both women froze. Maria quickly moved to the small bathroom as Lauren opened the door to find Beatrice, elegant as always in a gray suit. Miss Pierce, she said with a cold smile. May I come in? Lauren stepped aside, heart hammering. Of course, Mrs. Whitmore. Beatrice entered, eyes sweeping the sparse quarters. Cozy, she remarked, though her tone suggested otherwise. Her gaze lingered on Lauren's purse, where the empty evidence bags were still hidden. Was there something you needed, ma'am? Yes, actually. Beatrice settled onto the room's only chair. I've been thinking about our conversation yesterday. I may have seemed harsh. Lauren remained standing, wary. You were direct, ma'am. I appreciate that. Good. Beatrice's smile didn't reach her eyes. Because I want to be direct now. Richard seems quite taken with you. I'm just doing my job, Mrs. Whitmore. Are you? Because Richard has suddenly developed an interest in delaying his sister's declaration of death after 24 years of acceptance. He's now asking questions, requesting postponements. Beatrice leaned forward. And the only significant change in his life is you. Lauren kept her face carefully blank. I don't understand what you're implying. Don't you? Beatrice's voice hardened. Let me be clearer. Whatever game you're playing, whatever you've told Richard to make him believe there's a connection between you and Alexandra, it won't work. Mrs. Whitmore, I've seen your kind before, Beatrice continued as if Lauren hadn't spoken. Pretty young things targeting wealthy, vulnerable men. Richard is still grieving his father, still haunted by his sister's disappearance. You're exploiting that. Lauren felt a flash of anger. You don't know anything about me. Oh, but I will. Beatrice stood, smoothing her skirt. My investigator is quite thorough, and when he's finished, Richard will see you for what you truly are. She moved to the door, then paused. One more thing. I've scheduled a dinner tomorrow night. Important guests. Richard will need a suit pressed, and I'll need to be driven to the salon at 2. Do try to focus on your actual duties, Miss Pierce. After Beatrice left, Maria emerged from the bathroom, face pale. She suspects. She knows, Lauren corrected. But she doesn't have proof. Not yet. She grabbed her keys. I need to talk to Richard. We're running out of time. The morning sun glinted off Beatrice's silver Mercedes as Lauren drove her to the salon. In the rearview mirror, she could see Beatrice's perfectly composed face, pale eyes focused on her tablet. The silence between them was charged, like the air before a storm. "You're unusually quiet today, Mrs. Pierce," Beatrice remarked without looking up. "Just focused on the road, ma'am." Beatrice's manicured fingers tapped against her tablet. "I received an interesting call this morning. From a private investigator I hired." Lauren's hands tightened on the steering wheel, but she kept her expression neutral. "Oh, yes. He's been looking into your background." Beatrice finally looked up, catching Lauren's eyes in the mirror. "Interesting coincidence. The date you arrived at St. Catherine's Orphanage. I wouldn't know about coincidences, ma'am. I only know what I've been told about my past." "And what exactly have you been told?" Lauren chose her words carefully. "That I was found disoriented in a hospital parking lot. No ID, no memory. They estimated my age at 8 and placed me in the system." "How convenient," Beatrice murmured. "Amnesia, no traceable identity." Lauren said nothing, turning the car onto King Street where Beatrice's exclusive salon awaited. "Richard was up early this morning," Beatrice continued conversationally. "Left before breakfast. Do you know where he went?" "No, ma'am. I'm not Mr. Whitmore's keeper." "But you are his driver, yet he took his own car." Beatrice's smile was sharp as a blade. "Another coincidence, perhaps." Lauren pulled up to the salon entrance. "We've arrived, Mrs. Whitmore. What time should I return?" 4 o'clock, and Miss Pierce." Beatrice gathered her purse. "I expect you to be more forthcoming in the future. About everything." After dropping Beatrice off, Lauren immediately called Richard. "Beatrice knows something," she said when he answered. "Her investigator called this morning, and she mentioned you leaving early." "I went to Savannah," Richard replied, his voice tight. "Memorial Hospital. I wanted to see if I could access the records from when you were found." Lauren nearly swerved. "Without me, Richard, those are my medical records." I know, but time is running out, and I have connections they might respond to." He sighed. "It doesn't matter. They wouldn't release anything without your consent and but I did learn something interesting from a nurse who's worked there since the 90s. "What?" "She remembered your case?" "Not in detail, but she recalled a child brought in with unexplained amnesia. Said there was a woman who brought you in. Claimed to have found you wandering in the parking lot." Lauren's heart raced. "Did she describe the woman?" "Middle-aged, well-dressed, sunglasses, gave a name but no contact information. Left before the police arrived." "Beatrice," Lauren whispered. "Maybe. The description fits, but it's vague." "Where are you now?" "Heading back to Charleston. I got a text from David. He's expedited our tests, might have preliminary results by tomorrow." "That's good, because Beatrice is pushing hard to move up the declaration again." Lauren checked her watch. "I have until 4 before I need to pick her up. Meet me at Memorial Park in 20 minutes. At the park." Richard was already waiting on a bench, his face drawn with worry. Lauren sat beside him, keeping a cautious distance. They couldn't risk being seen together by one of Beatrice's spies. "Julian called this morning," he said without preamble. "Beatrice is insisting we proceed tomorrow. Says the delay is causing problems with the estate taxes. That's not the real reason." "No," Richard agreed. "She's panicking. Her investigator must have found something that has her worried." He pulled out his phone. "I did some digging too. Found an old article about Alexandra's disappearance with quotes from the detective assigned to the case." Lauren read the screen. "Detective Marcus Bailey says the investigation is complicated by conflicting witness statements. Mrs. Whitmore initially reported Alexandra was playing near the fountain when she vanished. Later, she recalled the child had asked to get ice cream. We're trying to establish a clear timeline." "Conflicting statements," Lauren murmured. "It gets better," Richard said grimly. "I found Bailey. He's retired now, living in Florida. I called him this morning." "What did he say?" "That he never believed Alexandra drowned. The backpack was found, but it was dry, like it had been placed there, not washed up." And Beatrice's story changed multiple times during questioning. Richard ran a hand through his hair. "Bailey said he pushed to continue the investigation, but his captain shut it down. Said they couldn't harass a grieving family without hard evidence. So the police suspected Beatrice. Bailey did, but he couldn't prove anything." Richard hesitated. "There's more. 2 months after Alexandra disappeared, Bailey was transferred to traffic division. He believes Beatrice pulled strings. Lauren leaned back, processing this. If Beatrice took me, took Alexandra, why not just finish the job? Why leave me at a hospital? Maybe she couldn't go through with murder, Richard suggested. Or maybe she thought amnesia was enough. A child with no identity, no memory, no way to claim her birthright. Lauren's phone buzzed with a text from Mariah. Come back now. B returned early, looking for you. I have to go, Lauren said, showing Richard the message. Beatrice is back at the mansion. Be careful, Richard warned. Until we have the DNA results, don't give her any reason to suspect we're working together. Back at Whitmore Mansion, Lauren found Beatrice in the kitchen, directing staff for the evening's dinner party. Her hair was freshly styled, her makeup flawless. Ah, Miss Pierce, there you are. Her smile was glacial. I tried calling you several times. I'm sorry, Mrs. Whitmore. I was running an errand and must have had poor reception. An errand. Beatrice arched a perfect eyebrow. What sort of errand takes priority over your employer's calls? Before Lauren could answer, Richard walked in, stopping short at the tableau before him. Richard, darling, Beatrice said, her tone warming instantly. You disappeared this morning. Business in town. Just some estate matters, he replied smoothly. Julian needed signatures. Beatrice's eyes flicked between him and Lauren. How responsible of you. I was just discussing tonight's dinner with the staff. Julian is bringing the final declaration papers for tomorrow. I thought we'd delayed that, Richard said carefully. Too much delay costs money, darling. The tax implications alone. Beatrice waved a hand dismissively. Besides, it's time for closure, for all of us. After giving final instructions to the staff, Beatrice turned to Lauren. Tea in the solarium, Mrs. Pierce. We have things to discuss. In the sunlit solarium, Beatrice poured tea into delicate china cups. Lauren perched uncomfortably on the edge of a wicker chair, watching Beatrice add a cube of sugar to each cup. My investigator is very thorough, Beatrice said, stirring her tea. He's discovered some interesting gaps in your history, Miss Pierce. I've never hidden anything about my past. Mrs. Whitmore, haven't you? Beatrice sipped her tea. No birth certificate, no record of your existence before October 1999, and the doctors who examined you when you were found noted unusual drugs in your system. Lauren's cup paused halfway to her lips. Drugs, benzodiazepines, commonly used for anxiety, but in children, they can cause amnesia. Beatrice's smile was thin. Quite a coincidence. Lauren set her cup down, untouched. Why are you telling me this? Because I want you to understand that I know what you're doing. This pathetic attempt to convince Richard you're his long-lost sister. Beatrice leaned forward. It won't work. Alexandra is dead, and you're nothing but an opportunistic imposter. If that's true, Lauren said carefully, why are you so determined to have her declared dead now? After 24 years, something dangerous flashed in Beatrice's eyes. Because it's time. Because Richard deserves closure. Or because you're afraid of what might happen if the truth comes out. Beatrice's composure cracked for an instant, her hand tightening around her teacup. Then the mask slipped back into place. Drink your tea, Ms. Pierce. You look unwell. Lauren glanced at the untouched cup. A warning bell sounded in her mind. I'm fine. Thank you. She stood. If you'll excuse me, I need to prepare for tonight's dinner. Beatrice's smile didn't reach her eyes. Of course, do be punctual. The first guests arrive at 7. As Lauren walked away, she felt Beatrice's eyes boring into her back. Something had changed. The subtle dance of suspicion had escalated into open hostility. In her quarters, Lauren found Maria waiting, wringing her hands anxiously. What happened? The older woman asked. Beatrice knows, Lauren said, sitting heavily on her bed. She as good as admitted it. She knows who I am. Did she threaten you? Lauren thought of the tea she'd left untouched. I think she just tried to poison me. Poison? Maria crossed herself, eyes wide with horror. Are you certain? No, Lauren admitted, pacing the small room. But she insisted I drink the tea, and the way she looked at me, she shuddered. It felt wrong. Maria's weathered face hardened. If she tried once, she'll try again. You're not safe here. I can't leave. Not until we have proof. Lauren's phone buzzed with a text from Richard. David called. Preliminary results tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. She showed Maria the message. One more day, then we'll know for sure. And tonight, the dinner party. I'll be careful. No food or drink from Beatrice. Maria grabbed Lauren's hands. Listen to me, Nina. If you are Alexandra, and in my heart, I know you are, then Beatrice has already stolen 24 years of your life. She won't hesitate to take the rest. Lauren squeezed the older woman's hands. I know, but I need answers, Maria. I need to know why. Later that evening, Lauren helped serve drinks at Beatrice's dinner party. Distinguished guests in evening wear filled the formal dining room. Their conversation a steady hum beneath crystal chandeliers. Julian Cortez, the family lawyer, sat at Beatrice's right, his silver hair gleaming in the candlelight. The declaration is straightforward, he was saying. After 24 years, there's no legal obstacle to declaring Alexandra deceased. And the estate, asked an elderly gentleman across the table, will be settled according to Ernest's will, Beatrice replied smoothly. Richard inherits the majority share of Whitmore Industries, with provisions for charitable donations, she smiled at Julian. And I, of course, retain what my husband left me. Lauren, pouring water into crystal glasses, caught Richard's eye briefly. His face was impassive, but she could read the tension in his shoulders. Such a tragedy, sighed a woman in pearls. I remember when Alexandra disappeared. Ernest was never the same. No, he wasn't, Beatrice agreed, her expression appropriately somber. He searched for years, private investigators, age progression photos, rewards. Nothing ever came of it, of course. The backpack was the worst part, Julian added. Finding it by the river, but never finding. He trailed off delicately. A body, Richard finished, his voice flat. You can say it, Julian. We never found a body. An uncomfortable silence fell over the table. Which is why tomorrow's declaration is so important, Beatrice said, placing her hand over Richard's. Closure at last. Lauren moved around the table, refilling wine glasses. When she reached Julian, she deliberately let her sleeve brush his water glass, toppling it into his lap. Oh, I'm so sorry, sir. She grabbed a napkin, helping him mop up. Clumsy girl, Beatrice snapped. Really, Miss Pierce, if you can't manage simple service? It's quite all right, Julian assured her, standing. No harm done. Perhaps you could show me to the powder room, Miss Pierce, to dry off. In the hallway. Away from the other guests, Lauren spoke quickly. Mr. Cortez, I need to ask you something about Ernest Whitmore's will. Julian raised an eyebrow, straightening his damp shirt cuff. That's confidential, young lady. Even from Alexandra Whitmore. Julian froze. I beg your pardon. If Alexandra were alive, if she returned, what would happen to the estate? The lawyer's face paled. This is highly inappropriate. Please, Lauren pressed. It's important. Julian studied her face, his legal mind visibly calculating risks. If, and this is purely hypothetical, if Alexandra Whitmore were alive, she would inherit 30% of Whitmore Industries directly, plus controlling interest in the family trust. She would effectively control the company and most of the family assets. And Beatrice would retain only what Ernest explicitly left her in the will, a generous settlement, but nothing compared to what Alexandra would control. Julian narrowed his eyes. Why are you asking these questions? Lauren ignored his query. Did Ernest ever suspect foul play in Alexandra's disappearance? Julian's professional demeanor cracked. How could you possibly... Did he? Lauren insisted. Yes, Julian admitted after a long pause. Near the end, when he was ill, Ernest confided that he suspected Beatrice might have been involved. He'd found inconsistencies in her story, details that didn't match police reports. His eyes narrowed. He asked me to keep looking after he was gone. And did you? For years. But without new evidence. Julian shook his head. Why are you asking these questions, Mrs. Pierce? What possible interest could you have in a decades-old tragedy? Before Lauren could respond, Richard appeared in the hallway. Julian, your absence is conspicuous. Beatrice is getting concerned. The lawyer nodded, giving Lauren one last suspicious glance before returning to the dining room. What were you thinking? Richard hissed once Julian was out of earshot, questioning him like that. I needed to know what happens if... when. We prove I'm Alexandra, and I needed to know if your father suspected Beatrice. And now Julian suspects something too. He's Beatrice's ally, Lauren. Has been for years. Are you sure about that? Lauren challenged. He just told me your father asked him to keep investigating Alexandra's disappearance. To keep looking for evidence against Beatrice. Richard blinked in surprise. He never told me that. Maybe he was waiting for the right moment, or the right evidence. Richard ran a hand through his hair. This is moving too fast. Beatrice is watching everything we do. Julian is suspicious. The DNA results aren't ready. We need to slow down. We can't, Lauren said urgently. Beatrice tried to drug me today. She's panicking, Richard. She'll do anything to stop us. Richard's face darkened. You're sure? As sure as I can be without testing the tea, from the dining room. They heard Beatrice call for dessert to be served. Richard grabbed Lauren's arm. Meet me in my study after the guests leave. I have an idea. The remainder of the dinner party passed in a blur of silver trays and forced smiles. Lauren noticed Julian watching her carefully, his legal mind clearly turning over their conversation. Finally, well past midnight, the last guests departed. Beatrice, slightly flushed from wine, bid Richard goodnight and retired upstairs. Lauren helped the staff clear the last dishes, then slipped away to Richard's study. She found him at his desk, surrounded by papers. Maria sat in an armchair by the fireplace, her face grim. Close the door, Richard instructed. When she had, he continued. I've been thinking about what Julian told you. If Beatrice is willing to poison you now, she's capable of anything. She's desperate, Maria agreed. The declaration is tomorrow. After that, Alexandra would have no claim to the estate. So we need proof before then, Lauren said. Proof I can't be ignored or explained away. Richard held up his phone. David texted, the preliminary DNA results are positive. There's a 99.7% chance you're related to both Alexandra's hair sample and my father's DNA. Lauren sank into a chair, emotions washing over her. Relief, vindication, anger, all mixed together in a dizzying wave. I knew it, Maria whispered, tears in her eyes. My little Alexandra, home at last. We still need the official results, Richard cautioned. But this is enough to delay the declaration. I'll call Julian first thing. No, Lauren interrupted. Don't call Julian yet. Don't tell anyone. Richard frowned. Why not? Because Beatrice would disappear before facing consequences. We need more than DNA. We need her confession. You want to confront her. Richard looked incredulous. After she tried to poison you. Not confront her. Trap her. Lauren leaned forward. The declaration hearing tomorrow. Everyone will be there. The lawyer, family friends, maybe even that detective if we can reach him. Bailey, he's in Florida. Then fly him in, Lauren insisted. Beatrice needs to be exposed publicly. With witnesses she can't silence or buy off. Richard exchanged looks with Maria. It's risky. Beatrice is dangerous when cornered. It's our only chance for real justice, Lauren argued. Not just for me, but for your father. Didn't you say he spent his last years searching for Alexandra? Don't you want the truth to come out? Richard was silent for a long moment. What exactly are you proposing? Lauren outlined her plan, watching Richard's expression shift from skepticism to cautious hope. When she finished, he nodded slowly. It might work, but we'll need help. I know people who worked the original case, Maria offered. Officers who believed Beatrice was involved but couldn't prove it. And I can reach Bailey, Richard added. If the preliminary DNA results are enough to convince him, then we have a plan, Lauren said, a fierce determination filling her. For 24 years, she'd lived without knowing who she truly was. Tomorrow, Alexandra Whitmore would reclaim her name, her history, and her future, and Beatrice would finally face justice for what she'd done. The grandfather clock in the Whitmore foyer struck 2, its solemn chimes echoing through the mansion. Lauren adjusted her black dress, borrowed from one of the housemaids, and checked her reflection in the hallway mirror. She hardly recognized herself. Gone was the efficient driver in a simple uniform. In her place stood a woman with purpose, with history, with a name that had been stolen from her. Alexandra Whitmore. You look just like your mother, Maria said softly, appearing behind her. The older woman's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "She would be so proud to see you now." Lauren, Alexandra, squeezed Maria's hand. "Is everyone here?" "Almost. Julian Cortez is in the library with the declaration papers. Detective Bailey's flight landed an hour ago. Richard is bringing him from the airport. The Prescotts just arrived. The neighbors with the dog, Sadie." Maria nodded, smiling slightly. "They remember you, Mrs. Prescott brought old photographs of you playing with Sadie. More proof, more pieces of the life stolen from her. And Beatrice." Maria's smile vanished. "Upstairs getting ready. She suspects nothing." Lauren took a deep breath. Then it's time. The Whitmore Library had been arranged for the declaration hearing. Chairs faced a large mahogany desk, where Julian Cortez sat shuffling papers, his silver-rimmed glasses perched on his nose. Several Charleston families who had known the Whitmores for generations were already seated, speaking in hushed, respectful tones. Mrs. Prescott, a plump woman in her 70s, clutched a photo album. Her husband stood beside her, his weathered face solemn. Lauren slipped in quietly, taking a seat at the back. No one paid her much attention. Just another staff member in a dark dress, proper but unremarkable. At precisely 2:15, Beatrice made her entrance. She wore black, tastefully elegant, her silver hair swept into a perfect chignon. Her pearl necklace gleamed against her throat. She moved with the confidence of a woman who had controlled her world for decades and expected to continue doing so indefinitely. "Julian," she greeted the lawyer with a practiced smile. "Thank you for accommodating our schedule changes." Julian nodded, but Lauren noticed his eyes were wary behind his glasses. Richard's late-night call had clearly raised questions in the lawyer's mind. "We're still waiting for Richard," Julian noted, checking his watch. "He texted that he's running late," Beatrice replied smoothly. "But we can begin without him. He's signed the preliminary papers already." Julian hesitated, then nodded. "Very well, ladies and gentlemen. We're gathered here today for a solemn but necessary proceeding. After 24 years, we will officially declare Alexandra Catherine Whitmore legally deceased." A murmur ran through the small crowd. Mrs. Prescott dabbed at her eyes with a handkerchief. "The law requires a waiting period of 7 years," Julian continued. "In this case, we've waited far longer, out of respect for Ernest Whitmore's wishes. But now, for the sake of estate settlement and family closure, we must proceed." He opened a leather portfolio. "I have here the declaration of death in absentia for Alexandra Catherine Whitmore, born May 12, 1991, missing since October 12, 1999. The door opened. Richard entered, followed by a heavy-set man in his 60s with a rumpled suit and watchful eyes. Detective Marcus Bailey had aged since his days on the Alexandra Whitmore case, but his gaze was sharp as it landed on Beatrice. Beatrice's composure flickered briefly. "Richard, how good of you to join us. And you've brought a guest." "This is Detective Bailey," Richard said, his voice carrying in the hushed room. "He led the original investigation into Alexandra's disappearance." Julian looked confused. "I wasn't informed we would have police presence today." "Detective Bailey has new information," Richard explained. Taking a seat in the front row, Bailey remained standing, arms crossed, his stance unmistakably that of a cop on duty. Beatrice's smile tightened. "How fascinating. But perhaps this isn't the appropriate venue for reopening old wounds." "On the contrary," Richard said. "It's exactly the right time and place." Julian cleared his throat. "If there's new evidence regarding Alexandra Whitmore, I should review it before proceeding." "There is," Richard confirmed. "But first, I think we should hear from someone with unique insight into this case." He turned. "Ms. Pierce, would you care to join us?" All eyes turned to Lauren as she stood and walked to the front of the room. She could feel Beatrice's gaze burning into her, but she kept her eyes fixed on Julian. "Ms. Pierce is our driver," Beatrice said, her voice sharp with warning. I fail to see what insight she could possibly offer. "A great deal, actually," Lauren replied, her voice steady despite her pounding heart. "You see, I have personal experience with disappearing." Julian frowned. "I don't understand." "My name is Lauren Pierce. At least that's what I've been called since I was found wandering in a hospital parking lot in Savannah on October 15, 1999, 3 days after Alexandra Whitmore disappeared." A stunned silence fell over the room. Mrs. Prescott leaned forward, peering at Lauren's face. "No records of my existence before that day have ever been found," Lauren continued. "I had no memory, no identification, just a silver charm on a string around my neck." She pulled the necklace from beneath her dress. Holding up the tiny star for all to see, Mrs. Prescott gasped. "Ernest gave her that charm for her birthday. I was there." "This is absurd," Beatrice hissed. "Some superficial resemblance and a common piece of jewelry don't prove anything." "You're right," Richard agreed, standing beside Lauren now, "which is why we ordered a DNA test." Julian looked thunderstruck. "You did what?" Richard handed him a sealed envelope. "The results came in this morning. Comparison between Mrs. Pierce's DNA, a sample from Alexandra's hairbrush, and my father's DNA from his personal effects." Julian opened the envelope with shaking hands. He scanned the document, his professional composure crumbling visibly. "This indicates a 99.97% probability that Mrs. Pierce is the biological daughter of Ernest Whitmore, and that her DNA matches the sample from Alexandra's hairbrush." He looked up, stunned. "According to this, Mrs. Pierce is Alexandra Whitmore." The room erupted in gasps and exclamations. "Mrs. Prescott burst into tears. Detective Bailey moved closer to Beatrice, his stance subtly shifting to block any exit. "Nonsense!" Beatrice snapped, but her voice wavered. "This is clearly a fraud, a scheme to claim the Whitmore fortune." "Is it?" Detective Bailey spoke for the first time, his gruff voice cutting through the chaos. "Because I've spent 24 years wondering what happened to that little girl, and I always had my suspicions." "How dare you?" Beatrice seethed. "The backpack by the river was planted," Bailey continued, addressing the room at large. "Dry when it should have been wet." And Mrs. Whitmore's story changed multiple times during questioning. First, Alexandra was at the fountain, then getting ice cream, then using a public restroom. "You can't possibly believe," Beatrice began. "And here's what's interesting," Bailey interrupted. "The hospital where Ms. Pierce was found. It's the same one where Beatrice Whitmore's sister worked as a nurse in 1999. This revelation hit like a thunderbolt. Even Julian looked shaken now. "I checked the records," Bailey added. "Her sister, Margaret Davis, was on duty the night a concerned citizen brought in an unconscious child with no ID. That citizen left before police arrived, never gave a statement." All eyes turned to Beatrice, whose perfect composure was visibly cracking. She stood, gathering her purse. "This is preposterous. I won't stay and listen to these unfounded accusations." "They're not unfounded," Lauren said quietly. "I remember, Beatrice. Not everything, but enough." "Remember what?" Julian asked. "The woman in sunglasses at Forsyth Park, telling me my father had been in an accident. The sweet drink that made me sleepy." Lauren stepped closer to Beatrice. "I remember waking up somewhere dark, being told my name was Lauren now, that no one would ever find me." Beatrice's face had gone white. "You can't possibly remember. The drugs—" She stopped, realizing her mistake. "The drugs," Bailey pounced. "What drugs would those be, Mrs. Whitmore?" "She's making it up," Beatrice insisted, backing toward the door. "All of it. She's a con artist who saw an opportunity. An opportunity I didn't know existed until I came here," Lauren countered. "Until I saw my own face in that photograph. Until I touched the fountain and remembered." "You didn't just take her from the park, did you?" Richard asked, his voice tight with controlled fury. "You took her identity, her memories, her entire life, and tried to take mine when I started remembering," Lauren added. "The tea yesterday, what was in it, Beatrice? The same drugs you used 24 years ago." Beatrice's control shattered. "You were never supposed to come back," she shouted, her cultured voice cracking. "You were supposed to disappear forever. Ernest would never have given you everything while I got nothing. Nothing after all I did for him." Her words hung in the air, a confession witnessed by everyone present. "And my father," Richard asked quietly, "his accident after he started suspecting you. Was that your doing too?" Beatrice's eyes darted wildly around the room, seeking escape, finding none. She lunged for the door. Bailey moved faster, his bulk blocking her path. "Beatrice Whitmore, I'm detaining you on suspicion of kidnapping, attempted murder, and..." With unexpected strength born of desperation, Beatrice shoved past him, knocking the elderly detective aside. She grabbed Lauren's arm, pulling her close, something metallic glinting in her hand. "If I can't have what's mine," she hissed. "Neither can you." The letter opener pressed against Lauren's throat, its antique silver edge cold against her skin. Beatrice's arm was locked around her waist, surprisingly strong for a woman in her 60s. "Everyone stay back," Beatrice commanded, her voice shrill with desperation. The room froze. Detective Bailey had his hand on his hip where a gun might have been years ago. Richard stood closest, his face pale with horror. "Beatrice," he said, his tone deliberately calm. "You don't want to do this." "Don't tell me what I want," Beatrice spat, tightening her grip on Lauren. "I built this family. I saved Ernest from his grief. I made Whitmore Industries what it is today. And you kidnapped my sister," Richard replied steadily. "You drugged her, abandoned her, stole her life. I gave her a chance at a new life," Beatrice hissed. "Away from privilege and entitlement, she should thank me." Lauren remained perfectly still, feeling the letter opener's pressure against her carotid artery. One wrong move, and her rediscovered life would end before it truly began. "Why?" she asked softly. "Why not just divorce Ernest if you were unhappy?" Beatrice laughed. A brittle sound. Divorce? Ernest's first wife had an ironclad prenuptial agreement. I would have gotten nothing. And then he decided to change his will, give you controlling interest when you turn 25. Her voice dropped to a venomous whisper. "A child? A stupid, spoiled child would control everything. So you removed the obstacle," Detective Bailey said, edging closer. "Stay back," Beatrice warned, pressing the letter opener harder. A thin line of blood appeared on Lauren's neck. "Everyone stays back, or Alexandra dies for real this time." Julian Cortez stepped forward, hands raised placatingly. "Beatrice, think about what you're doing. This isn't just kidnapping anymore. This is attempted murder in front of a dozen witnesses." "Shut up." "Julian, you spineless puppet." Beatrice began backing toward the door, dragging Lauren with her. "Here's what's going to happen. I'm taking Alexandra to my car. No one follows. I'll release her when I'm safely away." "You're lying," Richard said flatly. "You'll kill her the moment you're alone. Like you killed my father," Lauren added, finding her courage. "It wasn't an accident, was it? He suspected you had taken me." Beatrice's breath hitched. "He was getting too close, finding inconsistencies in my story. The timing of flights to Savannah, phone calls to my sister at the hospital." Her voice hardened. "I couldn't let him ruin everything." The confession hung in the air, witnessed by everyone present. Beatrice had just admitted to murder. "How did you do it?" Richard asked, his voice tight with controlled rage. "How did you kill our father?" "His heart medication," Maria said from the doorway, her aged face contorted with grief and fury. "I saw her tampering with it the week before he died. I tried to tell the doctors, but who listens to an old housekeeper?" "You always were too observant for your own good, Maria," Beatrice snarled. "I should have fired you years ago." As she spoke, Beatrice's grip on the letter opener shifted slightly. Lauren felt the pressure ease fractionally, and in that moment, she made her decision. With all her strength, Lauren drove her elbow backward into Beatrice's ribs. The older woman gasped in pain, her hold loosening just enough for Lauren to wrench free. The letter opener slashed her arm as she twisted away. But then Richard was there, grabbing Beatrice's wrist and forcing the weapon from her hand. Detective Bailey moved with surprising speed for his age, tackling Beatrice to the ground. "Mrs. Prescott screamed. Julian Cortez was already on his phone, calling the police. "Are you all right?" Richard asked, examining the cut on Lauren's arm. "I'm fine," she assured him, though her legs felt weak with the aftermath of adrenaline. "It's just a scratch." Beatrice struggled under Bailey's weight, her perfect chignon now in disarray, her eyes wild with hatred. "You ungrateful brat," she spat at Lauren. "I should have left you in that basement to die." The words triggered something in Lauren's mind. A dark room, crying for help. A woman's cold voice saying, "No one will hear you where we're going." "The basement," she whispered. "In the cottage, by the lake." Richard looked at her sharply. "What cottage?" "Your father's fishing cottage, on Lake Marion." Lauren frowned, the memories surfacing like bubbles in murky water. She kept me there for 3 days before taking me to the hospital. Beatrice had stopped struggling, her face a mask of defeat as she realized the extent of Lauren's returning memories. "It's over, Beatrice," Detective Bailey said, keeping her pinned until local authorities arrived. 24 years, but justice catches up eventually, within minutes. The library filled with Charleston police officers, Beatrice Whitmore, composed, elegant Beatrice, was handcuffed and led away, her pearls gleaming incongruously against the stark metal restraints. She held her head high, refusing to look at Lauren or Richard as she passed. In the chaos that followed, statements given, evidence secured, medical attention for Lauren's cut, she found herself sitting alone in a quiet corner of the library. The reality of everything was finally sinking in. She was Alexandra Whitmore. She had a brother, a history, a home, and the woman who had stolen it all from her was finally facing justice. "How are you feeling?" Richard asked, sitting beside her with 2 cups of tea. "Really feeling, I mean." Lauren, Alexandra, accepted the cup with a small smile. Overwhelmed, angry, relieved, sad, all of it at once. Sad for the life I lost, the years with our father I can never get back. She sipped the tea, finding comfort in its warmth. And, strangely, for Lauren Pierce, she wasn't real, but she was me for 24 years. "I'm not sure who I am now," Richard nodded thoughtfully. "You're both, I think, Alexandra Whitmore, with Lauren Pierce's strength and resilience. Our father would have been proud of the woman you've become, regardless of your name." Tears welled in her eyes. "I wish I remembered him better. I have photo albums, home videos, stories." Richard smiled gently. "We have time now, Alexandra. Time to rebuild what Beatrice tried to destroy." The name felt strange, yet familiar on her tongue. "Alexandra, I'll need to get used to that again. Take all the time you need." There's no rush. 6 months later, Alexandra Whitmore stood on the terrace of what was now her home, watching children play around the fountain that had triggered her first memories. The Whitmore Mansion had been transformed into St. Mary's Haven, a sanctuary for missing and exploited children. Maria Dolores, appointed as the Haven's director, supervised the children with the same quiet authority she'd always possessed. At 72, she had found a new purpose, helping children heal from trauma, much like Alexandra's own. "They're settling in well," Richard observed, joining Alexandra on the terrace. "The new arrivals from Florida." Alexandra nodded. "The therapy programs are making a difference. Art therapy especially. After Beatrice's arrest, the investigation had uncovered more darkness than anyone anticipated. Not only had she murdered Ernest Whitmore by tampering with his heart medication, but her sister Margaret had helped drug Alexandra and create false medical records at the hospital. Both women were now serving lengthy prison sentences. Julian Cortez had thrown himself into reorganizing the Whitmore estate, according to Ernest's original wishes. Alexandra now controlled the family trust, which funded St. Mary's Haven and a foundation for families of missing children. Richard continued to run Whitmore Industries, with Alexandra serving on the board. "Bailey called this morning," Richard said. "Beatrice's appeal was denied. She'll serve her full sentence." Alexandra nodded, feeling neither joy nor pain at the news, just a sense of closure. Has she said anything more about that day, about why she chose to leave me at the hospital rather than... She couldn't finish the sentence. According to Bailey, she claims it was mercy, that she couldn't bring herself to kill a child, even one who stood between her and a fortune. Richard shook his head, though personally, I think she was just covering her tracks. Murder investigations are more thorough than missing persons cases. Alexandra gazed at the children playing by the fountain. One little girl in particular caught her eye, dark-haired, serious, clutching a red balloon someone had given her. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I hadn't come here?" she asked. "If I hadn't taken the job as your driver?" "Sometimes," Richard admitted. "But I prefer to think it was inevitable, that somehow, someday, you would have found your way home." Home, such a simple word for something she'd searched for her entire life. A small commotion at the garden entrance drew their attention. Detective Bailey, now retired but still involved with St. Mary's Haven as a consultant, was escorting a woman in a prison uniform, Beatrice's assistant, who had been arrested as an accomplice. "What's she doing here?" Alexandra asked, tensing. "Cooperating with the investigation into other crimes Beatrice may have committed," Richard explained. "She's agreed to testify against Beatrice in exchange for a reduced sentence." As they watched, the woman looked up at the terrace. Seeing Alexandra, she called out, "He'll come for you. Beatrice's son will finish what she started." Guards quickly hustled her away, but her words lingered ominously in the air. "Beatrice doesn't have a son," Richard said, frowning. "That's just desperate manipulation." Alexandra nodded, but felt a chill despite the warm spring day. She turned to find Maria approaching with a satisfied smile. "Don't worry about her threats," the older woman said. "That assistant has been working with us for months. She's an undercover agent who was investigating Beatrice's financial crimes before we ever discovered Alexandra's identity." Relief washed over Alexandra. The last shadow of Beatrice's influence had been dispelled. The past was finally settled, allowing her to focus on the future, a future reclaimed from the woman who had tried to steal it from her. "Come," she said to Richard and Maria, turning toward the house that was now truly hers.